All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. Jay Lamb here. I've got Alan Galbraith there, and we think we have John Pagel on the hook, um, but we don't know. You know, John, it's not like he's technically minded or anything, so he might not be able to figure out how to push the right buttons. So he'll either show up or he won't. Um, Alan, we were just talking before we got started. You and John are working on your own Facebook Live / radio / TV show. What are you going to talk about?
We're going to blither about cars for about a half hour, and John's getting ready to join us here. Yeah, what we're going to do is kind of just um, a little less.
I'm glad to see it's well thought out at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little less 24 hours of lemons oriented, more general car oriented kind of stuff. Just talk about what's happening in the car world. And I'll bring in John right now and get ready to come in. I'll even unmute him.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, John Pagel, you look like my father, just the top of your head in the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's really good. So, well, thanks, John. Good to see you. I guess I'll be seeing you in like 4 days or something at Button.
Yeah. I'm hauling the trailer down for your headquarters.
Yeah, I love it. All
right.
Hey, I was at CMP for the 24. You were at Denver. Tell me about Denver. We for the three watching who aren't on this call right now. I haven't talked to John since the double full 24 weekend. How was Denver?
It was a snooze fest from my point of view, which means it was super clean racing, zero problems. It was as good as it could be, actually.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah, no, I mean, good racing. There were some really close battles. The father and son team in the Geo Metro, no help, just two guys went all 24 hours and finished it, I think, close to the top 10 in a Geo Metro. I mean, they of course
win the race.
they of course got IOE. They almost won Class C, but I mean, it was awesome watching them. Just two of them, a 17-year-old kid and his dad. So,
wow. I when I was 17, I wouldn't even wash a car with my father, let alone race a car. That's very impressive. Well, CMP was a really good race, and it all turned out well. But we had actually a lot of heartburn at that race. We had more car fires at that one race than I think the entire series has had in like the last year. I think we had like 6 different cars that it's caught on some flavor of fire, and a couple of them were like real fires, like there's flames, not just smoke. I mean, like there's flames, roll the fire truck. I don't know what the hell that was about. There was no common failure, there was no common theme. It was just a weird series of that. And then we had a thing, maybe you've already talked to Dale about this or not, we had a thing 9 o'clock at night, a couple hours after sundown, where comms just went down. It turned, it was really exciting. And I think we might have dropped off there for a second.
Yeah. No, we're still going.
Okay, in any case, so the comms all went down, not entirely, but really close, and they were going that way. And it turned out ultimately that somebody's headset somebody's headset, oh, hi, Cassie, didn't have the little protective O-ring around the mic, and when it rained, the water got in and it opened the mic. So we had an open mic. Yeah, so it took a lot of figuring out. And I naturally assumed, because we've had this happen before, that it was a race team with, illegal radios stepping on it. That happens all the time. And so I got on the PA like, y'all mother effers, like, you got to stop, and like, you're screwing us up. And then 45 minutes later, it's like, sorry, that was our fault. That was totally our fault. It was not you guys at all. So, but then ultimately we got that solved. We got already off the track fast. Well, we still had enough comms to do it. And I asked Dale, I said, it never really occurred to me like you could just have total failure to all corners. What do you do? I don't know what you do. And of course, Dale being Dale, he said, well, you idiot, you roll whatever vehicle is right there that has sirens on it, and you just pace them and bunch them up and get them off. Like, easy peasy. Well,
You're right.
in the throes of the crisis, I don't know that I would have thought of that if I needed to. So
Who was Dale? Was Dale running control when it happened, or you?
he was out on grid. Had Dale been in control, of course, he would have just done that. But
Right.
I was up there, and a couple of the CMP guys were up there, and we were all like, it's your problem.
What do you do now?
At that point, there was still enough to like, okay, get everybody off. Black flag all, get everybody off. But it was going to a place. 3 minutes later, I don't think we would have had any comm at all. And whether I would have been smart enough to roll the bus to bunch them up, Dale probably would have walked up the stairs and said, "Hey, you morons, what's wrong with you?" But it was exciting.
Yeah. No, we had nothing like that because we got Glenn at HPR, and if something goes wrong, he just gets on his ATV and goes out and beats the car around the track, shakes his finger at him and says, "You need to get off the track." Standing up, riding side saddle on his ATV at 70 miles per hour. It's like, all right, handled.
Yeah, fortunately, that's not dangerous.
No, not at all, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, glad to hear that things are back to normal essentially in the Lemons world and Lemons racing world, which is just total mayhem, right?
Yeah.
Right.
In a way, we sort of have forgotten. I mean, we're dealing with COVID, and how do you space people out, and what are the risks, and how do you analyze the risks, and and we've been dealing with all of that. Somehow, in the back of my mind, I think I had forgotten. Oh yeah, you can also just die the normal way. It's still out there. Yeah.
What
right.
really stupid, and you could get hurt doing it. Yeah.
You don't need an exotic coronavirus to still grease yourself going 24 hours Lemons racing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, John, we haven't had you on before. I think that's a gross oversight. Or have we? Did I just miss it?
No. I've been on a podcast talking to some dudes in Germany about Lemons, and I think the funniest thing the guy says is like, "Well, John, we don't have that kind of sense of humor."
Yeah, that's true.
And it's sick. I can't do the access, but I was going through and talking about themes and all this stuff. He was recording it for something, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know if that'll play here. We just don't have that sense of humor." I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So, John, since you're the tech tyrant, why don't you give people the 5-minute version of what being the tech tyrant means? What your role is, and how you wound up getting suckered into this chicken outfit.
Well, you know that story.
Well, I know that story. the punchline. I won't go ahead to the punchline. You can go.
Yeah, well, I showed up at Altamont to race, and I walked over to you, I think at some point during the race, and said, "There's a bunch of crap cages and roll bars out here that have been spliced together out of muffler tubing, and we need to deal with this." And then our team hit you when you were driving in the Fury, and I got banned for life from racing with Lemons. And so I called after I put in an application to race in the same Volvo, and I come out, and I call and I get you, and because I got an email that I'd been banned for life, and I'm like, oh, okay. And by the time that we're done with the conversation, I'm sort of angry because I was using the Volvo, sort of like throwing some elbows at Altamont, but yeah, we won't go into that. And by the end of the conversation, Jay says, "Yeah, do you want to come be one of my tech inspectors at the next event?" After he just tells me off, fires me, throws me out of the thing, says, "You want to come be my tech inspector?" And that's really how it happened. I got banned for life, and then hired as a tech inspector.
Well,
it's better to look into safety issues than the guy that's going to cause most of the safety issues.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's why all the good security consultants are actually criminals.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, we see that playing out in politics all the time, right? So
yeah, exactly. Here, you guys talk amongst yourselves for a second. I'm going to catch up with the list here. Stephen Cavalieri is checked in. Dale's here. Oh, Bill's here. Bill Goebel's here. What would Dale do? My hero. Okay, I don't think anything we need to address. Okay, back to it.
Well, and that's
All right.
actually that's how you and I became friends. Was at the first Lemons race at Altamont, where I was driving so poorly and so aggressively, I ended up in the pits getting black flagged a lot, and ended up talking to Jay. And it's like, hey, this guy's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, really, all of my friends are people that I've had to pull off the track at this point.
Yeah, really. It's looking that way. I think there's a personality flaw there. I don't know what it's called.
We all have a way to select our friends, I think. Yeah. So, talk a little bit about your racing and fabrication and engineering pre-Lemons, because I think that's an important background to how one winds up being the tech tyrant.
Yeah, my education is in mathematics and engineering, and I started building cages simply because I'm 6'4". I wanted to go racing in an RX-7, and the cage no one could build me a cage that I'd fit and be safe in. And some 30 years ago now, when I built my first roll cage, it was purely so I could go racing and feel safe about it. And then the guys at the racetrack said, I want one of them. And that's how I got started in the business. I mean, it truly is. And that's what I do. Keep getting myself educated. I had to study metallurgy and all the stuff that I didn't use to get my degree and understand what's going on. And therefore, now I'm the tech tyrant. What a career path.
Yeah. What a waste. What a waste that is. Really
Yeah.
It's really a shame. So, and you, for a while, you were running a bunch of guys actually running a fab shop, and you came to the realization that you were basically working 3 times as hard to make half as much money as if you were just fabricating stuff yourself for the customers that you really liked. Is that a fair representation?
Your numbers are off by a factor of 10. I think I was working 10 times as hard and making nothing to where I work not quite as hard and I actually make a living. Yeah. It was a big change. I really miss those guys. I was friendly with all of them. I really loved having that shop. I liked the way we treated our customers. It was good, but it was serious hours for no gain. You know, everything was burning up in overhead and EDD and whatever, you know, all that stuff. And I just wasn't worth it.
I wouldn't know anything about that, John. That's all. You're not talking my language at all. So how do you now choose your customers? I mean, a lot of people are coming to you. You cannot fabricate for all of them. So what does it take to be on the Tech Tyrant John Pagel's customer list?
Right now, it's sort of how problem-free is this going to be? In other words, usually they're customers I've already dealt with. And I know that they're just going to say, build it right, and we'll pay you a fair price. And we understand that you work by yourself and you're building a house and all this other stuff that I'm doing, and that my turnaround isn't that quick. And I get all the work I need.
Yeah.
So
interesting to have lost Alan, because he's actually the host for reasons that are. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that? Did you have 1 cup too much coffee this morning? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So let's see, Alan. What's going on with you?
We are actually just setting the date for the first 2021 Concours de Lemons event at Amelia Island. It will be March 6th. What that's going to look like, who knows at this point, but the date has been set. I was speaking with Bill Warner, and he is confident that the Amelia Island Concours is going to be able to happen on March, the following day. So we are kind of following his lead, and he's following leads of folks like the NBA, Major League Baseball, Disney, and with what protocols they're doing, and what and following Florida state rules, which I think are, if you bring an alligator to an event, you're good to go, right?
Florida state and rules are not 3 words that actually fit together.
Yeah, I think if the official Florida state guidance is show up in an airboat and bring an alligator,
and be drunk.
And you're golden.
And be, right, yeah. Right.
So we have set the date. We have a great new location for the Concours des Limons. It's actually at Main Beach Park in Fernandina Beach. So we're right on the water, right on the beach, gorgeous view of the ocean with all these crappy cars right in front of it. And there's a putt-putt golf course right next door. So we're going to have the first Lemons Golf Invitational.
I believe that is called an am-am.
Yeah.
Well,
called.
So can you display the cars like at Pebble Beach on the golf course there? I mean, is there enough room on the putt-putt golf course?
No.
Oh.
No. But we'll be all
maybe,
mounted, actually. So
maybe some mini cars, maybe BMW Isettas or something like that. They'd fit.
So that's the goal right now. Anyway, we've set the date. We've got the location. If we're all still alive in March, if there's a functioning government, if the United States hasn't split into warring factions, which I look forward to because I finally get to kill someone, all that is questionable. But we have the date, we have the location, and we're going forward like nothing's wrong, and we're just ignoring everything else that's going on. La la la! We're gonna put on a car show.
Clown car heading for the cliff. Yeah.
Exactly. So we are going to do that. We have a couple other things in the works with John and I. We're working on a Concours des Limons, kind of a splinter podcast of the Thursday Therapy.
Splinter.
Talking about a little more general car stuff than the Lemons oriented, Lemons focused Thursday Therapy. And literally, we're going to bore tens of people with our blithering about cars. So that's kind of what's going on here. That's it.
That's okay. So on the chat, Dave. Well, actually, go a little lower first. Somebody mentioned Dave Vaughn also says that you need to bring bath salts for the Florida Concours. So that's true. And Mental Ward suggested the bath salts. And Dave Vaughn asked, why were the penalties so lenient at CMP? And I think that's a great question. And the answer is, it might in fact be bath salts. No, the answer is, well, they weren't supposed to be. But if the corners aren't actually telling us, or, well, even seeing shit, and then telling us about the shit, we can't penalize the shit. So as soon as it got dark at CMP, this is probably something that I should not be putting out in the ether for the witness box later. But as soon as it went dark at CMP, all of a sudden, we're getting kind of the same number of cars coming into penalties, but they were all self-reporting. All of a sudden, there were, you got anything on this guy? No, don't tell him, but I don't got shit on that guy. So what did you do? I spun 15 times and ran over a goat, Yeah. So I don't know exactly why, and I'm not throwing any stones. I will say there was a night shift. There's the 8-hour day shift, then there's the 8-hour night shift for flaggers, and there's the final 8 hours in a full 24. Conceivably, the 8-hour middle shift, not the A team. So the answer is, wasn't supposed to be lenient. We don't want it to be lenient. Sometimes it's lenient anyway. That's the answer. Yeah,
at HPR, I'm sitting there and there's lights down on. The only lights are down on the pit lane, and I'm in the tower, and these bent cars come driving past me. The bumper's hanging off and all this other stuff, and I'm like, did someone call this in?
How high off the ground is the tower at High Plains?
If you can step up 14 inches, you'll make it, right?
Yeah.
Hour.
Yeah.
Some people might call it a trailer, but who am I to judge?
Right.
Okay.
And if I recall correctly, it's a trailer, and it's not even on top of the hill. It's actually a trailer sort of at the bottom of the hill, if I recall correctly.
It's the tower, Jay. I like to say I'm going to the tower when I'm working at a race, okay? It makes me feel good. It's the tower.
I'm sure that on this podcast I have related the story, but I will relate it again, of the tower at Eagles Canyon when we were there 5 years ago or 6 or 7 years ago. The tower is a portable trailer, as they so often are. But it actually is on the top of sort of the highest hill there. And you don't have a great view, but you have an okay view. So we had to stop the race a little early because there was lightning coming in. And then on the drive back to the hotel, there was tornado warnings, and turned into this fantastic North Texas kind of storm. It's just crazy. And when we got to the tower the next morning, every electrical outlet had scorch marks coming out of it from when the lightning had hit that building and fried everything in it. You could smell the ozone. You could smell the smoke. There were places where some of the cables that didn't get unplugged had burned holes in the tiles of the roof. It was pretty spectacular.
Nice.
Jay, you've got to realize that was a biblical smiting, right? You know, there's yeah, someone doesn't like what you were doing, and you know,
someone. Let's see here, Alan. You had a video. You said, right? You had something you wanted to show.
Yeah, we'll see if we can pull this off. We were in the interest of talking about things other than lemons. Brought up a couple topics. It's something I had talked with John Ficarra about last week. And it's the Maserati MC20, and it's looking into it a little deeper. It's got some pretty cool tech in the engine. It's a V6 engine, fairly small displacement, but putting out gobs of horsepower. 620 horsepower out of this little V6, and
that strategy worked so well for the XJ220.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and knowing Maserati quality, that's going to work, right? That's
right. Who, if not Jaguar, who could pull it off but Maserati?
Right.
Maserati, exactly.
So they've got something that I'll admit I had never heard of before. It's a pre-chamber ignition. Anybody? Either of you ever heard of that? Or
my Jaguar,
Honda CVCC.
Yeah, my Jaguar blows fire out the intake manifold all the time. So,
yes. Yeah, and you're right, John. Honda did do a pre-chamber ignition before, and what it essentially is a little tube or little chamber above the combustion chamber that ignites the spark plug is in there. It ignites the charge in that chamber, which then shoots out jets of fire out into the main combustion chamber to propagate the flame front faster and get a more complete burn out of the charge in the chamber. Apparently Formula One cars have this now, and it's a way to squeeze a whole lot of horsepower out of a small displacement engine. And, knowing Maserati, they got it figured out right, and it's going to be great, and the longevity is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So there's actually a little video about all that, and we'll see if we can make this work. And the answer is doubtful. What I'll have to do is mute all of our
this is going to
while this is playing.
Flawless.
MC20 will equip the new 90-degree V6 gasoline engine 100% made in Modena. The V6 engine is a dry sump twin-turbo engine with a total displacement of 3.0 liters, capable of 730 Nm of torque and a peak power of more than 620 horsepower at 7,500 RPM. Without any doubt, the core of the engine is the innovative and patented twin-spark pre-chamber combustion system coupled with both a port and direct injection. This innovative system, fully designed and developed by Maserati engineers and skilled technicians, is able to meet the requirements of combustion stability, noise and drivability for passenger cars, providing at the same time an amazing improvement of efficiency and specific power, a key feature to bring the Tridente back to racing.
So yeah, there's their little
Well,
their summation of it.
that raises so many questions right off the bat. First question that comes, second question that comes to mind is, who is creating all of that generic, not exactly porn music, but sort of rocky PR video background music? I mean, it's like one guy on one device creating all of that. I want to meet that guy. Second, could you find a more, that's not really the chief engineer. That is some guy hired by the modeling agency somewhere in Milano for a guy who's supposed to look like the narrow-hipped, sexy 31-year-old chief engineer. Chief engineers look like me and John. They do not look like that guy. Third, hella not going to work any way, shape, or form. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Did anyone notice on the graphs, there was a big, on the one graph lines going past that was up there for a minute, there was a huge up and down in the graph and everything, like, that can't be right. they're advertising some failure right there. That was a rod going through the side. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that this is now, not necessarily mainstream, because Maserati is never going to, set the world on fire for sales volume. But they're taking the last gasps of the internal combustion engine and squeezing every little bit out of it that they can through different injection schemes, different valve timing schemes, different tumble port, all this stuff to basically extend the life of something that's lighting stuff on fire.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed since the inception of motor vehicles, right?
Well, why didn't they refer to their crowning achievement of the Maserati biturbo motor that this is obviously evolved from, right? I mean, that was a great piece of art.
Yeah, direct lineage. I mean, I take your point, and you're absolutely right. And everybody's struggling because I think everybody at this point understands, particularly people in the business of creating cars. Everybody understands burning gasoline, burning a liquid fuel, that's just the wrong answer.
Right.
Just a better way to do this. Now, I think everybody understands that, but there's this 20-year gap for that transition where they still got to do this crap. But I disagree with your analysis, Alan, though, in the following way. These are not the first people, nor are they going to be the last, to way over force induce a gasoline motor so that it makes huge numbers briefly and then explodes. And it's, to me, it's solely analogous to all the guys who say, man, I can turn a super fast lap. I mean, I crash a lot. Well, anybody can do it hard. That's actually, turning a fast lap and crashing is easy, just like making 620 horsepower but blowing up after 1,000 miles. That's also easy. So
yeah, it's not necessarily easy to run a top fuel dragster and put out 1,200 horsepower and go 4 seconds in the 8th mile, but you got to rebuild the motor every 800 revolutions, right?
Yeah, right.
So, all right, we're at about the Lemon's car spotting point. One other question I wanted to address from the list. Mental Ward says, did we ever find out what was the deal with the random guy walking onto the track at CMP at about hour whatever it was? And yes, indeed, there was again, not a call. Well, I was going to say we've never heard this call. We did hear it at Summit Point multiple times of there's some random dude like about to walk across the track. In this case, it turns out there is a meth head who lives near the track.
Shock.
Hard to believe it. It turns out, I don't know, this particular evening he decided, well, I lost my license and they took away my car, but I'm sure that there is a fast shortcut to get out to the road to hitchhike, and it involves cross this racetrack. That will be fine. So that was also somewhat exciting. What he didn't count on is now the kind of general operations guy at Carolina Motorsports Park is the retired Camden County Sheriff. So he didn't make it very far. He did get a ride to the other side of the park. However, he was escorted from there into a police cruiser and taken away. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, on the flip side of the Maserati and trying to squeeze every last little bit of, we'll get to car spotting in just a second, and trying to squeeze every last bit of performance out of an internal combustion engine, we have the fine folks from Lucid who have dropped the Lucid Air on us, which is a electric car with reported 500 miles of range. They're claiming 400 through EPA. Tests have shown it's actually over 500 miles. 2.5 seconds 0 to 60 over 200 miles an hour. Kind of takes all the concerns about an electric car and blows them out of the water a little bit. And the only downside to it being it's $160,000, which that's a little bit of a barrier. But
Right.
That seems steep. But to be fair, so is a Taycan. And frankly, a Taycan goes 190 miles. So yeah, I'm not so sure that this is outrageous. And what's a loaded S-Class now? Loaded S-Class is probably 150 grand. So
right.
Yeah. Buying one, you're not buying one. You're probably not buying one. But I think there's a market there, and I think we've already seen there's a path from that to the 80,000 to the 40,000 to the 30,000. I mean, I think it's spectacular. I would love to get in one. I've had a couple of conversations over the years with some of these guys who work for Lucid, just from kind of my car world background, and they're pretty smart guys. I think they know what they're doing.
I think you can get a car built when you charge a lot of money for it. I mean, and if you have the people to do it, right? I mean, that sort of frees you to move down. I mean, Musk did this. He figured it out. Sell an expensive car, build cheap ones.
Yeah, but then look at Maserati. Having a lot of money coming in helps, but I also think that eliminating 90% of the machined complicated parts, that helps a lot too. And
right.
When this is the machine you're building and it's got really 400 critical parts, not 4,000 critical parts, that just opens up a lot of bandwidth to do other stuff, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lucid's kind of gone the other way with it. Having a high voltage architecture. I think it's 900 volt architecture or something like that.
Right.
So they've found a way to shrink their motors down to a little bit bigger than a basketball kind of thing, and still put out the dual motor version is over 1,000 horsepower. Right. I mean that's insane. That's supercar territory, and they're selling it as a sedan. We were talking before, if they were to wrap this in a sexy body two-seater kind of thing, it competes with the Mercedes GTC, and GT class, that kind of thing. And they've got something, pretty spectacular on their hands. Obviously, there's the main market is the 4-door sedan, right? But boy, if they don't have something like that in the pipeline to drop on the supercar world, I'd say they'd be a little bit remiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I think we actually need to have the real car in the real world and see. It's really easy to say I can go 500 miles and I can go 200 miles an hour and all that. It's easy to say that, and it's hard to do. But again, from the little bit of contact I've had with some of the people who work there, I'm inclined to think it's not just vaporware.
Well, there's actually been a couple of real world tests. I think it was Road and Track. I forget exactly which magazine, but they took one of these out and basically got tired of driving it to try to find out, when it would fail or when it would reach zero. And after 470 miles or something like that, they drove it back to the Lucid headquarters with 17% charge still left on it. And that was up and down the mountains through the Central Valley, and on a 100-degree day with the air conditioning going, all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like they've cracked it, at least for that. What if that translates into the $40,000 sedan that most average people can buy? I don't know, right?
I don't see why it doesn't, because these things really are just a volume problem. I mean, we know how to take a piece of kit generally, unless it's got plutonium or gold in it. We know how to take most pieces of kit and produce them more cheaply at volume, at scale. That's the point of scale. So, I have a hard time seeing that you don't get there. I don't think there's anything magic. There's no rare commodity there. It's just a scale problem, I would think.
And if you can get enough people to buy in and buy them to where you can ramp that up, right?
Yeah. So,
Right.
shall we spot cars?
We can do that. Let me get rid of this and let's scale over here to.
John, what's that art behind you? I never knew you were an artistic guy.
Actually, no. My mother-in-law is a fine artist. My house is totally hung with her art, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Who knew?
Yeah. Yeah. Here we go.
Wow.
Starting right off. I don't even know where to start on that. Is
That
that?
is spectacular.
That's really good.
It's preserved from the last Grateful Dead concert.
I was going to say, sort of further meets 70s boogie van, right?
This is our Panamanian friend. And so this, I think, is one of those private bus line buses. That's pretty spectacular, though. That's a lot of good work in that thing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it.
All right, let's get rid of that one here. And here we go.
Don't like it.
Uh,
That hits too close to home. That's bringing back PTSD.
I gotta say, I do like the slant headlight Fords. That was a good look.
Yeah.
Good look.
Was
That
that 67? When they did that, 66 or 67?
That's got serious patina.
Yeah, it does that. It does that.
And it's got a 390 in it, so it will move.
Yeah.
No, it won't. No, it won't. I mean,
Kind of like the Titanic moves, right? Once it gets going.
it'll drink a lot of gas and it'll create a lot of heat, but it's not really.
Yeah. All right. What do we have here? Ooh,
baby.
Oh, dude.
A mirror wrapped. What is that?
I think it's an Amigo or a Rodeo. It's an Isuzu thing.
It's not a Via Cross, is it?
No.
I think it's it's hashtagged Rodeo, so I'm going to assume.
Rodeo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's exactly what it is. It's twice the value of the car in vinyl wrap.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly right. Exactly.
And some seared eyeballs on a hot day.
Yeah, that's really good. From Lisa Sims, and I know exactly where that is. That's hard to do. You've got to really try to get it in there.
Wow.
Something was going on in that car, and it was either really good for the driver or really bad for the driver. I'm not
looking at the car. It could either be heart attack driving back to the retirement home, or there were pharmaceuticals involved.
Right.
He's pretty far off the road.
Oh, he's way far off the road, and you have to get through a fair amount of bushes and benches. That's really something. I know Lisa lives in Oakland. I wonder if she took this herself. I can believe it.
That is dedication to the cause there. Yeah.
Really good.
All right.
Stroke. Jake notes stroke after a visit to the Sizzler.
Someplace really nice, like Sizzler.
Yeah. What the hell is this?
Oh, wow.
That must be a key car of some sort. Key car?
Maybe it's got lettering on the bumper, but I can't read it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great Wall or something like that.
Yeah.
Clearly some maintenance department of some public facility, wanted to save $300 by getting a non-street legal vehicle. I like it.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit like a Scion XB that's been El Caminoized.
Well, but narrow too. It's not just W, it's narrowed down. It's like they sectioned it down the middle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
That is impressive. All
You
right.
look at that and it's a pickup. And what could you get in the back of that? Like a tennis ball?
A rake.
Your wheelchair.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, now we're getting there. Now we're getting there. Man, that's
There we go.
We're at his worst.
Now, what are this is like a 62 or 63 Valiant? Is that when
Yeah.
that came out?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to, I would love to have been in the design studio when they were finalizing this, and they, did the clay model and sat back and crossed their arms and went, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the look we're going for.
Yeah, we got it. Well, that's
How much did that have to add to the cost of that car? The cantilevered metal hanging out there, it seems so expensive to build a car with that kind of stuff hanging on.
Compact car. They were the down market car, right?
Yeah.
is a stamping with that much draw, is that really more expensive than a stamping without draw? I don't know.
Well, you remember those things, a lot of these cars those days were soldered together. They were welded together, then the gaps were soldered, with lead, and there's a lot of work in there. I mean, from a fabrication point of view, that's a lot of work.
But what's fascinating, I can't speak to the manufacturing, and knowing Chrysler historically, I doubt they would have invested a lot more money on an aesthetic like that. But I will say, I find cars like this fascinating. The Alpha SS is another great example where it's the end point of a design. They chose a design path 10 years earlier. And at the time, it seemed like, okay, this is a good path. They didn't know it was going to be a dead end.
Right, yeah.
This is this sort of the what do they call it? The new look, the flight look. What was it?
The forward look?
The forward look.
Forward look.
I think forward look was a little prior to this, was late 50s.
Oh, it was, but that's where it started. And
Yeah.
that really was this revolutionary, this kind of extra-derived, creased, finned thing. It was a radical, revolutionary look. It was great, but this was the end point. It's interesting to think that they latched onto something. It was great, but there was sort of nowhere to go. They developed it, and this is where you ended.
Right, and think
along the line,
same year
in second or third iteration, sort of saying, "All right, we're done. We need to stop."
Right. This has gone from good to ridiculous. We need to stop somewhere else.
The very same year Mercedes had fins. Right? I mean, the 280 SEs or whatever they were, they had fins on them. They had vestigial fins.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Just absolutely amazing that and they sold them. I mean, they're still out there today, as evidenced by this, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. There we go.
Looks more Panama. Yep.
Panama car spotting. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Is that a Toyota?
I think it's a Toyota.
Like a Land Cruiser nose.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Woof.
Pretty sweet.
It's lived a hard life.
Yeah. Well, as it should. I mean, that's what it was made for.
It was made for, right?
Yeah. Being tarted up by Icon and sold to Brad Pitt. That's not what these were made for.
No.
Yeah. I like it.
That is cool. All right. Hold on a sec. Hide. There we go.
There you go.
Ex-Swedish Sea Rescue. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Stephen Cavalieri, I'm sure, can weigh in on this as a former Combi owner.
I'm gonna say the unpopular car opinion here and say I don't get these. They weren't great to start with, and just because they're rare now doesn't mean they're great now.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to get the Volkswagen Bus Jihad after you now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Right. And my daughter married into a family that has like 17 of those things, and the guy actually does windshields out of the back of a Doka, or I guess they call them, and everything like that. So I've got to be really careful. I love that thing. It's wonderful.
I think they look cool. I just the fetishization of these is, I think, as with most things, is, above and beyond what it really deserves. It's kind of cool, but
Well,
with that.
This guy dropped off a car at my shop, and he's part of the racing vans that race in Lemons, and he's got a couple of these things and everything. And guess what he showed up in? A Mercedes Sprinter 4-wheel drive that could tow the thing. And he says, yeah, I don't drive those damn things anymore.
Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, trust me, I'm the Concours de Limons guy. I love weird crap, right? I mean, that's amazing, but just there's such a, I mean, some of these things go for $100,000 to $150,000, and it's
I totally get that, and I agree with you. The fetishization is a little bizarre, but on the other hand, look at what we do in the lives we've led. I mean, if we're not fetishizing undeserving mechanical crap, what have we been doing for the last 40 years of all of our lives?
oh sure.
Right, when
I'm calling into question.
looking up and out the window, I can see the crap. It's out there.
Yeah.
And I don't. Let's not talk about that.
So is the guy with the Corvair in his backyard, right? Yeah.
Guys who have Kellisons in their garage cannot throw stones. I think.
All right, here, let me hide that and move on. Oh, talk about fins. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Well, let me interrupt. Stephen Cavallari points out after he got rear-ended in his Volkswagen, he just went out and bought a Mercedes. So that's
Right.
The dedication is not it can be broken. So what the hell is that? That's a Ford something?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ford. Geez. You got me. It's a Fairlane, or it's got to be a Fairlane.
I think it's got Mercury. It's a Fomoco something, but it's enough. I think it's, I don't know. Somebody weigh in on the list because we don't know.
The trim
I don't know what it is.
on the C pillar says is Fairlane-esque. I guess it does say Ford on the rear, top of the rear bumper.
Yeah.
Right.
Comet. It's a Comet.
Yeah, there you go. You're right.
Okay.
Yep.
Scott Chamberlain says the back of those comments reminds me of Lisa Sims' glasses. Yeah, that's totally right.
And again, would like to be in the design studio when they did this and went, nailed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's get rid of that one.
I don't know if Nick is the one weighing in his 24 hours of lemons. It sounds like it. All those people upgrading from VW to Mercedes, wait till they discover Japanese cars. Speaking. Here's something you want to upgrade from. Smaller general parking lot. I believe that.
You can smell the velour from here.
Yeah, that's really good. So how difficult would it have been to make those bump strips, those tacked on rubber bump strips, to make them actually not fall off? Like, why did they have to use the 1/4 cent plastic clip and not the half-penny metal clip so that they would never fall off?
You see those cars from that era driving down. Well, you don't see them driving down the road anymore. What am I saying? You used to see them driving down the road, and those things were always flapping.
Yeah. I mean, how hard can it really be to engineer trim that doesn't fall off?
Now, how long did this platform, this frame survive? I mean, this went well into the 90s with the Caprice, which I believe was the same underpinning. So
I think they drove this one off the arc, and it's continuous since then.
Yeah, if somebody out there knows when did this platform start? Because I'm pretty sure the last iteration was the Impala SS.
Interesting. I had no idea. Well, and when did it start? I thought it was all different.
No, I think the B body, this architecture is the same going back forever, right?
Right.
I mean, that's almost Rolls-Royce-esque, dedication to a platform.
Right.
Corey Dickman, who would absolutely know, points out that they used the same clip for 30 years, and so they saved a lot of money. And he is right about that. I mean, they did amortize the hell out of that thing. Saving a 1/4 penny per clip probably added up to about $40 million
over 3 decades. Yeah. All right. Ooh, I can see this one coming.
7 was the first year of the B body, according to Scott.
Yeah.
And he also would know.
Yeah. So 77 to 96.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Cop tires, cop brakes.
Yep.
That's good. Is that What
It
is
looks Murata-ish.
it? Does, but it's too big for that. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of ish front end on whatever their version of the B body was.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Mopar version was, but that's pretty cool. I'm sure Scott
Yeah.
can help with that too. Let's see.
Yeah.
He's a little, but the stream is 30 seconds behind us. I'm sure he'll weigh in.
Yeah. Speaking of electric cars and not being able to follow along them.
This was from CMP. I saw this car. I love
Oh yeah.
I've never driven one, and God help me, I would never own one. But I think these are the coolest. You see these driving around the Bay Area all the time because of.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And I just think these are spectacular.
Yeah, my neighbor has one. About 3 houses down, he has one. It's out sitting there with ash raining down on it right now, and he drives it. It's his daily beater.
Yeah,
It's a cool car.
Now, are these their own platform, or did they just rebody some other existing platform?
you know, I think these are unique from the ground up, and I think
Right.
this one is badged as a real Fisker, so I guess it's the little GM motor and the hybrid powertrain and blah blah blah. I believe that, you know, desperate to stay in the business, Bob Lutz, wasn't he involved with some business that was just putting real V8s in these and trying to?
Yeah, well, there is an LS conversion. I thought these had Mazda turbo motors in them, and that's what the generator motor was. Is GM?
I think it's a little GM puddly something. Yeah.
Oh, I was under the impression they were Mazda. I'm wrong.
Well, I could be wrong too. God knows it happens a lot, but
Lemon's exemption for anybody that shows up with one of these with a Crosley power plant in it, right?
All right.
anybody who shows up with one of these, full stop. I think these things are just so spectacular.
And they're good-looking cars.
Yeah,
really good looking.
definitely sexy. Just never really hit the market, and for who knows why.
Yeah.
What are they called now? What's the new name?
Karma, Evo, Karma, Evo, Revo.
Karma Evo. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
Hence the problem.
Right.
I like these. I really like these.
Nissan Patrol.
Back
right.
in the era when Nissan was potentially the equivalent of Toyota.
Right.
Those days seem like a long time ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Where is it? Yeah.
Panama.
Well, and what's weird is you don't see those here in America where they saw extraordinarily light duty. You see them in Panama where they've just been beat to hell, right? And that's kind of the strange part.
Well, but I think that's America. We have the ability and the culture to throw that crap away, and I'm not sure in a lot of other parts of the world. You just keep the thing going. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
I think Nissans are fixable. You just have to do it all the goddamn time.
Right. Speaking of unfixable.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. Man. Wow. Yeah. Alan, you need a Maserati TC.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. For Monterey Auto Week, which had been canceled, I kept my reservation and just went down to Monterey and spent the time there, blissfully devoid of people and cars, and hiking around in the Del Monte Forest. There's actually miles and miles of hiking trails, and walking up and down the streets, I came across a non-ironically owned Maserati TC in cream puff yellow.
Yeah.
With a Del Monte Forest gate badge on the grill sitting on the street.
Oh, that's awesome.
It had to have been the original owner. I mean, because no one in their right mind would go out and buy one of these used, especially if you live in Pebble Beach. Someone knew and has kept it since. It was in spectacular shape, and at least to outward appearance is still running because it appeared on the street at some point, and then when I went by the next day, it was gone, and I didn't see any tow trucks. So it was, probably moving under its own power. To be fair, it was on a hill, so they could have just rolled it down.
Or you could have followed the path of oil and found it. I mean,
right. But yeah, they're still out there, and we had one in the virtually awful Concours de Limons that had 150,000 miles on it. Who knew they could go that far, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I still say, I think you need one because you need these people to be angry at you too. It's not
Yes.
enough to have the Elante people angry at you.
Well, here's what I need. I need the TC, I need the Elante, and to complete it, what would be the trifecta of 2-seat convertible absolute shit boxes?
Gazelle.
My mind is just going straight to Corvette, but it sounds like you have another option.
I don't know. That's, if you're gonna have that, why not have
It's a Riata convertible, clearly.
a Riata
Yeah.
convertible? Yeah. Or maybe
No, EXP. It's a Ford EXP. That's what
Ford
you
EXP convertible. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That'd be a good option. Or gosh, what was I just gonna say?
Ted Ford.
Mercury Capri. Remember the Mercury Capri convertible?
Oh yeah, that was terrible. That was somehow they managed to take the same powertrain as a Miata and make it horrible. Ted
Yeah.
Ford, he was offered a one-owner, 35,000-mile example. I assume he's talking about the TC Maserati for $300. I declined. He said,
Oh, only if it had $299 cash in the trunk, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there's probably that much value in cocaine still in the car somewhere.
Yeah.
Likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Jay. The Chrysler TC, the Elante, and some other ill-conceived and ill-executed 2-seater convertible.
I think a Riata convertible, and then you could get a 3-car garage and just have them lined up. Man, that would be fantastic.
Throw in a Jaguar XJS convertible next to it. Just go down the list of things that that were probably at one for a very brief shining moment, very cool, and are now just butt terrible. Yeah.
Well, you need a PT Cruiser convertible to haul the family around, with all these 2-seaters.
Somebody's pride and joy for about 4 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I think we got a good one coming up here. Ooh, Edsel.
Oh, nice. With hot rod wheels. Somebody's clear. Yeah.
Yes.
This has actually got Lemon's race car all over it.
That was pulled out of the woods.
Yeah.
I will stand up in defense of the Edsel. Not a bad car. Just, everyone's, Edsel quality terrible. No, it's not true. It's just ill-conceived and ill-timed and ill-marketed and but ugly. But not a bad car.
Yeah, I'd go along with all that. I mean, no better or worse than anything else, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd go along with that. I agree that it's it was in the right place at the right time to get the reputation of failure, and that has stuck to it. If it had launched 10 years earlier or 10 years later, nobody would, it either would still exist or nobody would remember it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move that one. See what we got here. Ooh, colorful. What is this?
I had a Jeep CJ something. People know Matt Adair. If Matt Adair was on this, he'd be able to tell us exactly. People know the ins and outs of Jeeps and what year and what CJ and blah, blah, blah. I cannot tell them apart. I can't tell any difference between these things.
Wow.
Yeah. It's early. I think it's what they call a flat fender, but I don't know.
I don't either.
So I think that the bargain in the CJ world is the early 80s automatic 4-wheel drive version that's just reviled. I remember I had one in the late 80s and couldn't sell it then, right? So and now I don't think they're any more popular.
Yeah. So all I really know about these is Bill Mertz used to have one, and maybe he still does. Our good friend Bill Mertz, and he said something one time about how you can tell how new a Jeep CJ is because the Jeep logo stamped, it's pressed from the back on the fender. Over the years, that die got softer and softer and softer, and the lack of crispness. And he put it out on his, and you could just barely see it. It was like these round balloon stamping. The lack of this is how you tell how new or old a Jeep is. So There's your car maker right there.
Wow. So Jay is going to become a Concours Jeep judge, and
Right,
then
Exactly. Is this a Cressida?
yeah,
Wow.
I think it is a Cressida. That's nice.
yeah,
Good wheels, great wheels. I think
Yeah.
those are the factory upmarket Cressida wheels. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice.
that's cool.
Yeah, I really like those. Those were comfortable, quiet. Those are really good.
Huh.
What's that about? Late 80s, 88, something like that?
Yeah, I think that's right. Mid or late, something like that. Hey, John, you're the engineer. What's the deal with the little cover over the vents on the Volkswagen hood? What's that for? Is that just to look cool, or does that supposed to?
That was an add-on thing from the J.C. Whitney catalog that said that it would keep the water out of your engine and keep your engine from dying, because it would, in those bugs, the water would drip right onto the distributor and they'd short out.
Makes sense. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's straight out of J.C. Whitney, man. That is $9.99.
So apparently Bill Mertz's CJ7 Jeep got stolen. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That kind of says it all. That sort of says it all.
Well, we are up against the 1 o'clock time. If you want to go for a little longer, we can, but we have fulfilled our contractual duty for 1 hour of drivel.
Well,
So-
I think
Yes.
people have really only paid for 1 hour, so we probably should only give them 1 hour.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and here we go. We're gonna do one last one
Yeah.
here.
Ah, see, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Oh, it's got the raised Firehawk Indy 500s.
Nice.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Wow.
I do not hate these cars. I actually kind of
Uh,
like these cars. I've never understood why they existed. Who in their right mind would have approved this program? But
Right.
I think they're kind of cool. I like these cars.
what did they have for power? A 3.8?
Yeah, it's just whatever that modern Buick of the era was. They just chopped it off at the firewall and took that whole front drive thing going.
Right.
Nothing special, but I mean, I think it's a cute little thing, and it's not a bad design. It's actually a pretty clean design.
Yeah. From this view, the proportions are very Fiero-esque.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. I think this is pretty cool. God, I would never own one. Don't get me wrong.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, not for all the money in the world, but I'm glad it exists.
Yep. All right.
All right.
That was a pretty good session of car spotting. I think that's
Good stuff.
That was a lot of cars.
yeah. Well, there's still more to go, but if we haven't caused people to go out and harm themselves to avoid watching this at this point, I don't know what would. So
Well, great. Well, thank you, gentlemen. It was fun talking to
All right.
you.
It was fun.
Alan, thanks for running the control board for us. I think unfortunately, you've backed yourself into a permanent job now.
Yeah, right.
yeah, be careful of doing a job well. Then you got to do it all the time, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We've got the Butt coming up, Button Willow weekend after this one. We've got signups coming up for Ginger Man, New Hampshire, Texas, California again in December is where we are. We think right now, looks like all of those events, we should be able to do it. I think we're going to be able to finish out the rest of the schedule. Keep your fingers crossed that doesn't change.
We're
That's
going
great.
to the Fall Failage Rally as well in the Northeast in October. And, COVID rules apply. Don't lick each other in the parking lot, that kind of thing. Should be pretty easy to do is just stay in your car and, we can enjoy the camaraderie at the end of the day. Sit on the hood of your car, wear a mask, talk to the people across from you. Share your stories that way. We're going to have to cut out some of the big communal meals that we try to do on the rallies. And for those of you who are not familiar with or are familiar with the rallies, we've made them a lot less hellish, other than actually, having to put up with me doing it.
There's only so much we can do, but we have.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. They used to be pretty long and brutal, and that has its own appeal to some folks. We've shortened the days a little bit, and in this case, we've actually even shortened the duration and number of days. So it's a little more enjoyable. You can actually, remember all the things you did that day and talk about them later. So a little less hellish, a little more fun, and mercifully shorter. So
Right on, right on. Well, John, I will see you at Buttonwillow. Alan, I guess you're not going to be at Buttonwillow.
Right.
For the first time in over a decade, today is actually my wife's birthday. Next weekend is my birthday, and we are had traditionally always been putting on a car event for the last decade on both of those days, and just not going to do it. As much as I would really like to be at Buttonwillow, and as much as I love doing Lemons events, it's like
no one likes to be at Buttonwillow.
Yeah.
Melissa's birthday instead. So
for this one time, maybe next year we'll screw it all up and do a car event, but just this once, we're gonna, stay home and not put on a car event. So
and not go to the dystopian nightmare that is Buttonwillow.
That is Buttonwillow, yeah.
Yeah, I've got enough smoke and haze and death and destruction and just abject awfulness in my life. I don't need to see it distilled at Buttonwillow.
All right.
See you there, John.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Woo.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thanks, everybody. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.